set.
What's up, everybody? I'm your operator, Winnie, joined today.
I am your analyst, Nate.
Bing bong, Nate.
We're trending
And,
today.
What should Danny be? If I'm the operator, your analyst, he's what, the mechanic?
I'm
Sure.
just personal.
He can be the mechanic. He can be no.
'Cause
He's a synthient. That's what he is. He's a synthient.
What is that?
We'll get into it. What are we talking about before I spoil stuff?
Yeah.
Wynnston.
Welcome to the Matrix. We're going to be
Dun.
talking and reviewing and geeking out over Matrix Resurrections and what it means to the Matrix in general.
If you haven't seen that in the title of the stream and or recording.
Exactly. So if you haven't seen the Matrix, full spoilers here.
For all of the movies, including the newest one.
Exactly. We do plan to have a spoiler-free review coming out sometime, at some point.
Hopefully shortly after this comes out.
Yeah. So keep your eye out for that. So you can go watch that. But from this point on, spoiler-filled review. It's the sirens going off. Cool.
A synthient, Wynnston, is a program that is an ally with humanity.
I forgot that's what they were
It's
called.
a program that they have has become sentient, although technically all the programs are sentient, even the evil ones.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Winnie is supposed to be the robot here.
Well,
since I'm running the show, I'm the operator, okay?
Oh, you should be the architect, man. Throw it back. The architect, man.
The architect. That's a good one. I really like that.
Nah, you lost it. You're already the operator.
Yeah, you've been downgraded to operator.
Way downgraded, dude. From the architect to the operator. I don't even go in the Matrix. I suck.
Well, dude, the analyst, the architect made the Matrix, right?
Yes.
And then the analyst made this new version of the Matrix, right?
Yes,
so
Matrix 2.0.
I'm freaking on the level with the architect. That being said, I don't think they talked about this in the original trilogy, but apparently there's higher ups, almost like a corporation, where like there's like a board of directors that the analyst has to answer to. So that was interesting.
Yeah. As we do always on this channel, we're gonna go with surface level thoughts, and then most of the time we do the things we liked and the things we didn't like, and then final scores. That's kind of the outline that we have for our reviews. So
and Rotten Tomatoes are somewhere in there.
True. Don't let me forget about that, because sometimes I'm just like so caught up in the conversation I completely forget about it. So we're gonna start today with what we always do.
You guys gotta pick up the energy, man. Wynnston, you're like, yeah. Sometimes I forget about it, because I'm just so into the conversation. Danny's just on his phone. We're live for the masses. One concurrent viewer. Come on.
Thanks, live person.
It's
You're
Kaylin.
live.
It's Kaylin.
Thanks, Kaylin. You're our biggest fan.
See, look, she commented that before I started talking about it.
I don't even have the stream up, bro.
She commented, Danny looks disinterested. You guys got to get on top of it, man.
Dude, where are we even streaming this? YouTube?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Dude, if I'm in the stream, it's YouTube. I don't touch that Twitch nonsense. That's Wynnston's jam. He's in charge of the Twitch streaming branch of the Those Who Geek operation.
Okay, surface level thoughts, guys. All right. Since Nate, you're the analyst. Since you're the analyst,
I'm the anal assist. What? Analyst. What?
Oof. Jeez. Tell me what you thought of The Matrix Resurrections.
It was great, dude. I was not expecting good things based on the trailers. Like, it looked like it was going to be a bad sequel, even though it was being made by Lana Wachowski, who's one of the original creators. I was like, I don't know. I'm just not getting good vibes from the trailers.
Yeah.
And it had, I mean, I won't get too deep into it, but I liked it, dude. It gives me just that summer blockbuster feel where it's just like, you're here for a good time. Don't think too deeply. This movie does give you some room to think deeply, which is nice, but don't think the schmovie, but don't think too deeply, because it kind of does fall apart a little bit. But the action, I don't think there was really any moment where the action blew me away, but it was entertaining. It was an entertaining. The acting, honestly, the acting was kind of all over the place in my opinion. I'm gonna echo what my wife said that I honestly agree with. Keanu is not the best of actors. He really isn't. He's there's very specific roles that he can do well. He does Goofy well, and he does the straight man like in John Wick pretty well.
John Wick.
But outside of that, he just looks kind of awkward. But other than that, dude, we'll get into it more. But I did like the movie. It was very enjoyable. I was very entertained. The first act, like I thought that was super cool.
Yep. Danny,
And
what did
actually, I was gonna add on to that me and Winnie were talking about this a while ago, like a few hours ago too, how Keanu Reeves is the type of person who's not a bad actor, not a great actor. He's a great person, not the greatest actor. He's just a very stale actor.
Yeah.
Like he does throw like as much energy as he can into the role, but at the end of the day, like just like his whole like personality to
whole
it is
demeanor?
Yeah, I think he just he lacks nuance, and he doesn't want to overact. So he doesn't have the nuance, and he doesn't want to overact. So it just comes up across very cardboard.
Honestly, I find it surprising that he's gotten so far in his career. Like most of the time, when you're not an amazing actor, you don't last that long in this business.
You
You
can't
know?
even get
So,
started.
yeah. So just the fact that I'm pretty sure Matrix was his big, like the first big
No,
movie
I think
that
he had
was in.
something before that.
He had something when he
I
was
think
younger,
dude, he had a bunch of
and
stuff
then he
before that.
had
Oh,
I
really?
think
he
Bill
had
and
this,
Ted was before the Matrix,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
a couple other stuff was before the Matrix.
he had a movie with Sandra Bullock, and then he was supposed to return to that, and then when he didn't, he kind of got blacklisted by Hollywood because he didn't return to that role, and that's when the Matrix people picked him up, and that's when he made his big comeback to it. But at the same time, he still laid low with it.
I also think he's just super likable. So
Oh yeah.
it's just
As
like
a person,
everybody.
I think.
I think everybody
Yeah.
that meets him just likes him and like wants him to succeed, and I'm happy for it. I think even though his acting is lacking, he's basically like trained society that like, oh, Keanu's here, so like they don't even expect a great performance, they just expect Keanu.
Mm-hmm. It's very specific, the things that he does. Yeah, for sure. Wake up, samurai. Am I right?
I think it was what you're talking about, the movie Train, Danny, with Sandra Bullock.
I know. I don't know if it was called Train. It was something. I think it was just called Speed or something like that.
Speed?
Cruiser.
Speed.
Speed, probably.
Was it the bus that
Probably.
couldn't slow down?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Actually, I think I remember hearing that story too.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, moving on. Danny, what are your surface level thoughts for Matrix Resurrections?
All right. I totally forgot. That's the point of what I said. I actually, I just started watching The Matrix a while ago. I just finished watching all three of it, so my mind was still pretty fresh with it.
Mine's not.
And
So that's good.
honestly, like seeing how many things they added onto this movie, it wasn't overwhelming. But there were like a lot of unanswered questions at the end of it from the original and like some of the new things that they added on. But at the same time, like it was refreshing. It was a good movie.
Okay, cool. So, before this movie came out, I watched The Animatrix for the first time, and honestly, I was blown away by the good parts. When they do like the whole, where the androids came from and everything. I was really intrigued by that story, and I was like, man, they should make a movie about that. The beginning of everything. That would be super cool. So more than anything, it just piqued my interest more about the actual lore, because I felt like ever since I watched the first Matrix, it's this huge idea that was fresh,
Cultural
new.
phenomenon.
Exactly.
One of the first
And-
DVDs that came out.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. And
Yeah, it was that and like Twister or Eight-Legged Freaks. It was like those three. And
Okay.
obviously out of those three movies, freaking
Yeah,
Matrix is the best.
But and then as we go out through the series, it kind of more just becomes about, action and about Neo saving things. It's less about the lore. And with this movie, I think the best parts of it is, I would completely agree with you, Nate. That first arc is so cool. And then the rest of it is just the lore, like how cool this is for the lore. And I would say if you're not interested in Matrix lore, you're probably not going to really like this movie because, like Nate said, the action, not that great. And the acting is not mediocre. And some of the things that they do in the story, yeah, they're not the best. But it's about what this means for the world in general of the Matrix. And I think that's really, they took the story in interesting ways in that aspect. So I liked it. I think it was definitely worth the watch. And honestly, I would be intrigued if they made another one. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like if they made a sequel to Resurrections, I'd be like, all right, let's see where this goes.
I
Yeah.
mean, they
So
kind of already hinted to it in the middle of
Yeah,
the
they
movie, like,
did.
oh, this is
Even
gonna
at the
be
end.
yeah,
a sequel trilogy.
but I wonder if Warner Brothers is going to let them do that. You know,
Oh,
because
dude,
it seems like
if it
everyone.
makes money, Winston. If it makes money, it's gonna happen.
You know, Warner Brothers doesn't care about the ratings; they only care if they make money.
Exactly. They don't care about quality. Have you seen Justice League?
God, don't
Have you
remind
seen
me.
any of the
Don't
DC
remind me.
movies?
Some of them are good.
So it's Zack
Which
Snyder.
one?
The Snyder
Which
cut.
2 movies were good, and that's it.
Hey,
Out of
man,
how many
two
movies was it?
two
Like
is
8?
some. 2 is some, Danny.
Anyways, if it did any of you guys play the man, what was it called? It was the Matrix.
The Unreal Engine 5 thing?
Mhm.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I didn't
Okay.
even look at it. I haven't even
No.
seen it.
Oh wow. Okay. So it's really interesting. And when I played through it, like they actually have like a line in it that were like, um, because the first part of it's kind of like just a huge cutscene. It is still really impressive, but it's like a cutscene. And then there's this point where they get in the car and they're like drifting around and everything. He's like, What's this about?" And she's like, "Well, the marketing team said that it couldn't just be our gaming mumbo jumbo, so we actually have to make an action sequence." And he's like, "Ah, dang it!" And like they
Interesting.
like poke jabs at the like marketing team and everything. So I'm
Yeah.
like, when I thought about
Yeah.
if Warner Brothers would let them, I thought of that.
I did notice this movie felt so much more self-aware than any of the other movies did, and I appreciated that. That was cool.
Yeah, when I was listening to critics reviewing it, they were like, "Man, it's so on the nose," being like, "Oh, yeah, we're a sequel, but we're a cool sequel," and they were really
I
criticizing
didn't
that
get
about
that
it.
vibe at all.
Yeah, for me, I was like, yes, they are aware that of the situation that they put themselves in, but I think they pull it off really well.
I think what's
You
also
know?
good about that opening scene, or just that first act where they're making fun of that they're gonna make a sequel, which I might as well get into it. Ooh, this movie is kind of complex, but in the first act, Neo is stuck in the Matrix still. Don't know yet, but
Okay.
it's a new kind of Matrix, and he looks different to everybody else in the Matrix. He's got this. He's back to being Thomas Anderson, and he is this world-renowned video game developer, and he is famous for these 3 games that he developed: the Matrix 1, and the Matrix 2. And there are these 3 games, and all those games in his mind are based off the plot of the 3 movies. So they get to the point where, which is also freaking amazing. I love I love Hugo Weaving, but I love Jonathan Groff so much as well. He's in Mindhunter. He's the guy that replaces Mr. Smith. He's just great, dude. I love that actor, and it was so great to see him. I love that they changed him. But Keanu's character, Thomas Anderson, gets blindsided with, "We're going to make a sequel." So then there's this whole sequence where they're just developing the sequel, brainstorming, workshopping what the sequel is going to be about. And you can tell that a ton of the comments and a ton of what they're talking about what a sequel should be, what it should have, if it's a good idea, they are self-aware about they're making a movie to the trilogy. And I feel like, if you're paying attention, at least this is how I understood it, it kind of sets expectations. Like that whole scene lays out like it's almost impossible to make a sequel that's as good as the original. It's almost impossible. Like you could probably count on one hand how many times it's happened. And so that kind of like set the expectation for the rest of the movie, where they're going to try their best. They're going to do interesting things, but don't expect it to be better than the original, because that's just lightning in a bottle,
Yep. Hmm.
Uh, and one thing that I did notice from it when they were doing that whole marketing thing and like the whole development of the new video game section, immediately they made it look on or they made it seem like everything was on repeat, like it was just the same day, the same
Yeah, it
phrase, the
did.
same
Yeah.
everything over and over again. And that's kind of like a nod to like how many times everybody has been asking for a new Matrix movie. Like that's on repeat too. Like everybody wanted
Yeah.
this and everybody got this now. But like the years that it took to make this, the years that it took to like write the story out. And you can like just see, I think like they did a perfect job in showing like how tiring it is for someone to just think about it. Like not even start it, just thinking about it.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out right now who the guy is, but
Who?
so in the when the alarm goes off, right, and Morpheus is in the back, and they're all evacuating, we actually see. I recognized him instantly. He's not the developer of Fortnite, but he's
Oh,
in
Epic
Epic
Games.
Games somewhere. I looked it up. I thought he was the CEO of Epic Games, but he's not. He's like I can't really share my screen, but he's like he's a dude with
You can
glasses
share
and
your
his hair.
screen.
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay. I just found it in Google Images, so let me.
Yeah, share it, and then I'll follow it. And if we have to edit anything, I'll just edit it. But it's fine for the
This
stream.
dude right here, he was in the movie.
We'll
I
click
don't know
on
if
it.
you saw him. That dude, sorry.
He looks so familiar.
Yeah, he is like one of the top notches in Fortnite and Epic Games. So I think this guy he's the CEO of Epic. Yeah. But this guy is
What
a
scene was he
developer.
in? What scene was he in?
When they're all running
Uh,
away in the when the fire alarms go off and they're all evacuating the game studio,
Yeah.
he's in that, and I was like, "Oh, that's that."
Uh-oh, we lost Wynnston.
Yeah, sorry. I hit instead of
I hit kill my computer. I hit the off button.
like,
But
he was
anyways,
so enthusiastic.
I thought it was super cool that they decided to put Thomas Anderson, instead of just him doing a normal desk job, he's a game developer now.
Mm.
And for me, I'm huge into the gaming industry, and I thought it was super cool move because they always talk about these loops in the Matrix,
Mhm.
and that's such a good analogy. Like making video games is hard, and most of the time, like he said, it's a lot of hours, and their lives just boom, like same thing every day, grind, and it's like seems endless. And then there's that one scene when they walk in, and he's like, "Is that old Matrix code?" And we're all like, "Wait, they know they're in the Matrix?"
Yeah,
And it's
right.
like, it's like an Inception kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
that if the people in the Matrix played the Matrix, then they're like, "No, that's a video game. That's not real. That's
Yeah.
dumb."
What's
And
also
I'm like,
cool about
so
that
good.
is later on we get like how the analyst made this new Matrix with them and for them, and how like his is even more it's even more better. It's even better because he's keeping everybody stressed. And it's
Yeah.
like, what better way to do that than to make him a game developer?
Yeah. And honestly, speaking of that one point, I did really like that because he
I
said
did too.
everything's based on emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just stress, like he influences their emotion, and
Yeah, you're
he
right.
got
It isn't
bigger
just stress.
numbers.
It's just big
So I'm like,
emotions.
that's awesome, because when you're super scared, when you're
Flustered,
stressed,
angry.
when you're in love, when all that, it creates body heat, your heart starts pumping, like all these things happen in the human body. And I'm like, that is brilliant. Holy crap, that's so much
We're
cool.
going to jump ahead a little bit. I cannot remember why he had to keep Neo and Trinity together. I remember that he said like if they were just together, like fully together, then they would revolt and break the Matrix. But I don't remember why he couldn't keep them completely apart. Do you remember why? He said a reason, and I don't remember it.
I can't remember
I'm
either.
gonna look it up.
So the reason why they kept them apart
Yeah.
is because they
but not fully apart. Like he said, like you have to reach this balance where they're there but not together.
Yeah, no, the way that he said it was that when they were too close to each other, they were like this destructive combo for them.
Exactly.
When they were too far away, they didn't create enough energy. But when they
they
found
didn't create enough
perfect
Yeah, but I
spot,
can't remember why they needed them at all to make the system work.
is because they are the analyst.
Yeah.
That guy. he realized that when you kept them that close to each other, they produced more energy like that. They were
Yeah,
stressing up. They wanted
but
to give.
why couldn't he just run the Matrix that way without them there? You know?
Oh,
Exactly.
he mentioned then saying that it was I think the way that he said it was that it would have been the same thing, and he wanted to make it better than the old Matrix.
Maybe,
That's why he
yeah,
purged the old system and created that new one where everybody are bots,
yeah.
and he can take over at that point.
See, and it's things like that that I'm like, that is super cool. That not only were they like, I feel like they were leaning really hard into the loops, leaning hard into improving like a lot of the concepts from the original Matrix, and also giving nostalgia when they could have. And some of it doesn't work, but most of the time I'm like, this is awesome. This is really cool. Um, yeah, and then I don't know. The whole when Trinity's talking to him and she's like, "Oh, I asked my husband like, "Oh, don't you think she looks like me and everything?" But she has a different face too.
Yeah,
So I'm like
exactly. So he's not going to think that.
exactly, and that's why he laughed at her and everything. Um, but uh, okay, actually, no, I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to hold that for things we didn't like. Um, what is something else that you guys can think of that you're like, man, that was super cool.
The whole opening act, dude, where even I, knowing the other movies, but the whole idea and their execution of, oh, Neo's just crazy. Like, there's no Matrix. He's just insane, and he's imagining all this stuff. Like, I felt like they spun that so well, and like the analyst did such a good job as a psychologist or psychiatrist, you know, helping me to believe that. So I thought that was really, really good. Like, they really executed that amazingly, in my opinion.
See, that was exactly what I was about to bring up, but I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take that back. I liked it in the aspects of this story in this context. It made the story work. Yes, it was believable. But my issue with it is I feel like there's two dangerous things about it. One, I feel like they're kind of taking mental health lightly. And they're like, yeah, he's crazy. But no, like, just being like, well, look, I'm going to put it like this. The original Matrix is an incredibly good concept. And they're not the first to believe, that we're all living in a dream, that we're all living in a simulation of some sort. That concept was not new from the Matrix, but they performed it so well in that movie that there are legitimately people who legitimately believe that we're in the Matrix. Now with this, I feel like it's real easy for people that have that kind of mentality to be like, oh no, there's nothing wrong with me. I can stop taking my medication. This is all a simulation. I should go jump off a building,
Yeah.
And that's scary. Mike, I understand it works for this story, but this is like, that's dangerous ground that you're trying to step on.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if just for the sake of it working for this story, they should have taken that route. But it does work for the story too. So
I think
don't know.
that is a really good debate that we can have. Because I feel like you are right. Like, I absolutely believe that there's a possibility that somebody who is having a hard time mentally sees this movie and is maybe just pushed that final step to like everything is a simulation. Because plenty of people tout that. Personally, I think it's hoopla. I think it's bullcrap. We're not in a simulation. And I've listened to articles and interviews and about why people think that this could be a simulation, and I still think it's a load of hogwash. So I think, but what you're saying is true. Like, that is absolutely something that could happen. But that being said, the first Matrix kind of did that, Like, the whole idea of reality being a simulation existed, but was not popularized until the Matrix came out. So is that Matrix, does that also get the same criticism, Wynnston, the first one?
To a certain extent. I think to a certain extent, yes. Especially for the time, I would say probably. But see, like now people are more aware of mental health and everything. And that's honestly kind of why it works better in the story too, because people are more aware
I
of
would say,
things and
does
everything.
that give them freedom because today's society is more aware and
Yeah.
there are more resources? I mean, I think technically there are, but there's definitely not enough. Shout out to my baby in the back. Thumbs up for cute baby content. Me personally, I understand what you're saying. I don't want to sound flippant because like people's lives matter, but I don't think it's fair to restrict people's expression and art in this case. You know, I think that what they did was cool, and it's so it drills down into your brain and it makes you think like, oh, what would I do in this situation, or is he just crazy? And I think that has value. So I think it's okay.
And I don't know, for me, we already have the concept of the Matrix and everything. And I think obviously it is what it is, and it's it's one of my favorite like concepts. There's like Inception and Matrix, and like out of like real sci-fi things, that's like some of my favorite stories because they're so unique and so interesting, and I ponder those questions. You know, what is real, and what is that what is that implication for this story? But when you go to the point where the therapist has got blue glasses and everything, symbolism of him kind of being like part of the blue pill,
Yeah.
and then all his pills he's taking are
I didn't
blue.
notice that until the moment you said it.
Oh, there you go. And then he's
I'm sorry, I
dumping-
saw that they were blue and I thought that's weird, but I never thought about it again. And it's like, you're totally right. That's totally what that is.
Yeah.
I mean, his whole appearance at one point was just like a blue sweater, and then of course his
He has
eyes
like
are
dark blue
That's
walls, I
already
think. I
genetic.
can't remember. Or they might be green. I don't remember.
No, I think they were blue. Yeah.
I don't know. I just wish we could have avoided the scene where he's like dumping all his pills and everything like that. And then, he has his mental breakdown, and he's like back in the therapist chair and everything. I'm like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place because I think it's really cool story and it's a really cool concept, but also, it's a dangerous concept for the people who have mental health issues. So I don't know. I feel like honestly, that's kind of good art because it's something that can be debated, and for every person, they can kind of view it differently. So I guess in that sense, it's a thumbs up. So
yeah, I also would like to bring out, there are some positives, if you have the clarity and the balance of mind, like up until the point Neo breaks out of the Matrix, he's kind of dealing with it's very, at least in my understanding, like schizophrenia. He's dealing with it the best you can. He's taking his pills every day. When he has events, he's talking to his therapist. He's working with his therapist. He's being honest with his therapist. That being said, his therapist is evil at the end of the movie. But if you have, just the ability to see that, like, oh, he's doing a really good job. Also, you got to remember that one of the ways that the whole Matrix is interpreted is we're all living in our own little personal matrices, our own little personal prisons and routines that society or we put ourselves in, whether it's our work routine or whatever people that is just making them unhappy. And dumping those blue pills is like, you have a choice. Like you have a choice to remake yourself, to remake the life that you have, whether it's, being like a battered wife, or anything other than that. And it can be as dramatic as dumping all your pills down the drain. But
that's true.
So
that's a great way of.
But what you said is totally right. Like I can totally see somebody seeing him dump all his pills down the drain and be like, I'm doing that once this movie's over.
Yep.
But then at the same time, what I said is also valid. So yeah, like I said, the first act is the strongest part of this film.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was by far my favorite. And not only because I love, the game industry and game development and all that. And I'm like, it's so cool that that's where they went.
That. Yeah, it was great.
Also for the fact that they actually made Matrix games, and Enter the Matrix is the one that I really loved. Way back in the Xbox or PS2 days. And seeing what they did with the Unreal Engine and this movie, I was like, man, they could make such a cool Matrix game again. could. It would be awesome. But
A quick criticism that I want to throw out there is Morpheus's character.
agreed.
I think it's pointless that they made him Morpheus, because he's not even Morpheus. He's like this amalgamation of Morpheus. So it's so easy to just, it's already a different actor. It's already a different character. Just make it a new character. Don't call him Morpheus.
Exactly.
Just pointless.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like they were so caught up on the aspect that there's like the big three, Matrix, Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus. So we have to bring them back, right? I feel like there's a way that this could have worked, and it's if they got the main actor back. That would have worked.
But they didn't need to do that either.
They didn't need to do that. You're right.
You're right, and that probably would have worked fine. But I think it would have been just as fine with a completely new character.
Oh yeah. I in this context, I think, yeah. I right after we stopped the movie, I told Danny that was one of my criticisms. I'm like, he is a mixture of what Thomas Anderson remembered of Morpheus
and Agent Smith.
Also a bit of Smith,
which is a great idea. I love that.
It's a great idea. Yeah. But technically, he's not even Morpheus. He's somebody completely new, you know? It's just like when we watch WandaVision, and at the end, there's a new Vision, but he doesn't even have the memories. Technically, that is still Vision, but they don't even call him that because he's different experiences. This is that plus something else. I'm like, they should have...
we don't care.
They should have just been like, oh, my name is Morpheus. And then, you know, like a few seconds go by or a few minutes, and he's like, wait, no, I'm something more. My name is blank. And he's somebody new, you know? Yeah. He's got the style of Morpheus. He's got the elements of Morpheus.
He doesn't even fully have the style of Morpheus, because Morpheus never, as I recall, wore suits that bright. He was in black just like everybody else.
That is true.
He's just a completely different character, and I don't know why they called him Morpheus.
Yeah. Danny, do you have any more good things?
I do, and it's kind of mixed in with like negative comments too. So I think we're gonna skip to this segment really quickly. I love that fresh new idea that they came up with. You know, scrapping Zion and making Io the new home for the humans, and you know how they have sentience. Is that what they call it? Yeah. How they've accepted that hope of like making this new utopia for humans. And I understand that part of like, you know, kind of Morpheus didn't have to die, but since that character didn't want to come back, like they worked it off really well. It's like, you know what, we're trying to preserve this memory. Humans aren't at war with the machines anymore. And bringing Neo back to it just risked everything into like going into chaos again.
Yeah.
Quick question.
And, you know,
stopping you right there. Sorry. If there's a sequel, do you think there's going to be war now?
They still don't know where. Maybe.
Honestly, I don't think so, because like they didn't really do anything like to cause war per se, because they didn't really like go
bro? They broke the Matrix.
And they let out Smith again.
They definitely caused reason for war. And even if the robots aren't attacking them, humanity wants to be on top again. So they're going to push the war. The only one stopping them is the old Jada Pinkett Smith, which it's compelling. It's not going to blow me away, but I buy it that she's old and like doesn't want to ruin what they have. Like I get that. You know, I get that.
Yeah.
So.
And see, like, that's also like, what was it? 5 minutes into the movie, I even like looked at Wynnston and I was like, they gave him his eyesight back. I know they gave him his eyesight back. Like, I don't know how, but they gave it back to him. And then like, what was it? Like halfway into the movie when they take him out of the Matrix and he has his eyesight back. And I think I also said like they brought Trinity back too. I don't know how.
Well, she's in the trailers.
They brought her back.
Yeah.
Well, she's in the trailers, but you know, the whole time during the trailer, I was just like,
she could be part of the Matrix.
Yeah, she's just an algorithm now.
Yeah.
And that's what I was kind of afraid of. And you know, they brought her back completely, and I was like, I knew that was gonna happen. I just don't know how.
For me, when you know they were like, okay, Trinity's back, Neo's back, and Morpheus is back. Mainly for Neo and Trinity, I was like, since they're both dead, they better have a really good reason for why they're back.
They have an
And I
okay
felt like
reason.
their reason was satisfying for me. Like I liked it. I was like,
It's a little wishy-washy to me that they even need Neo and Trinity for their new Matrix. Like that still doesn't. I don't buy it. Like they could
I
have just
mean,
done that without them.
well, the
to,
way
to be
go for it, Danny.
to be fair, like the way that I'm thinking about it is, they already have the one who can control the machines. So like, why would they kill him and then, just wait for someone else to come along and then redo it all over
But
again?
that's what they've been
Because they already
doing. Because isn't that how 3
and they
ends, where the architect shows them that the 1 has been there like 100 times?
and like that's how they see, like that's how it's always been messing up. And then
Mm.
we finally see that there's this new guy that purged the old system, made it new, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep my eye on you, and I'm gonna keep you in this box and make sure that I can keep a loop on you. And not only that, he was more interactive with them this time.
Yeah. Okay.
For me, the way I looked at it is very similar to Danny, but like if I was part of the machines and Neo had just died, like they seem like the type that would take the body and experiment on it. And once they figured out that they could revive him, they're all like, "We've got nothing to lose. He's just a body. So we'll see if we can revive him." And then once they found out that he still has that spark and still is like conscious and everything, they're all like, "Oh, we can make so much out of this," and they took that opportunity. So that's the way I viewed it.
Another thing I liked is how they made Trinity the 1 as well. They're now the 2. I'm into
didn't
that,
like
bro.
that.
I'm
I
into
hated
it.
it.
Hey,
No, bro, because it's a new Matrix, and it's a new Matrix that was kind of built around her as well. Honestly, I would have been more down if they went all the way, and in this new Matrix, Trinity's the one,
He's the one.
and Neo isn't really. Like, he can do cool stuff because he's still badass, but he's not the one. I would have
I
liked
would
if
have
they
liked
did
that better.
Yeah,
I would have liked that better because for me, there's the one.
yeah.
It's one, There's not two. And the fact and the fact that they weren't willing to commit because they never said that. They just showed her fly and do a whole bunch of stuff.
She's the
and
one, bro.
But I could see them in the next one being like, "Oh, but no, he's the one. You're just
Oh,
really
dude,
strong."
that'd be so whack if they did that.
Because
see,
I'm like, no one's going to be able to fly unless you're the one. Okay.
Yeah.
So I
see
thought
the
that
way
was
that I theorized it at Winnie's house when we were seeing it together, and the way that I'm like theorizing about it right now is that when I was at his house, I said, you know what, maybe Trinity has Neo's abilities in the Matrix, but outside of it, she's just a normal human, whereas Neo is still OP in and out of the Matrix.
Mm,
But thinking
didn't
about
think
it
about
now,
that.
maybe now while they were remaking when they purged the old Matrix and made this new one, maybe Neo
Well, the old
found a way to
Matrix
like
isn't
sneak
gone.
his algorithm into her.
The
It's
o-
not gone.
It's like I
They
think it's
just, like,
just in the hard drive in the back. So
yeah,
I
like they
would,
put a patch over it. Basically.
exactly. Like I'd love to see
Yeah.
that in the next movie. Them going into both. Well, like I said, they made them both the one, so it doesn't really matter. But I would have loved if they had both matrices running at the same time, and in one matrix Neo's the one, and in the other matrix Trinity's the one. Like I think that would have been very interesting. But
she's fighting the new Smith. He's fighting the old.
well, there isn't really a new Smith. It's the analyst who she kind of already owned. Like they very much ended this movie with like this new Matrix is their
As
plaything.
weak.
Like it's their plaything, which is fine. But I liked the little callback to the little girl. I think that's in the second Matrix that grows up and helps them save.
Third.
I like the sentience. Or go ahead, Winston.
Speaking of her, I wanted to call out something that I thought was really good, and that's Jessica Henwick or Bugs. She was awesome. She's like the highlight. Like honestly, probably the best actor in my opinion in this whole movie was her. Like she was just so awesome, and I think it kind of sucks that when they were hiring her, they gave her the ultimatum that she can either be in Shang-Chi or this.
Yeah.
And she chose to be in this. That kind of sucks because she would have been awesome in Shang-Chi too. Like this, I'm so down with this character.
Dude, but I guarantee you, like, she's basically a co-star. Like, she has as much screen time as, like, Neo, I feel like. So I guarantee you she looked at both scripts and was like, well, I'm like a main character in this one and a cool side character in the other one. So it's like, I think I'll just be the main character in this one.
and then spoilers for Shang-Chi a little bit. I didn't really like the actress that they chose for the sister in Shang-Chi,
I
even though
liked her.
it's her first thing, so she's probably gonna get better. But still, I think she had a special something in this movie, and I thought it was just awesome.
Nah, I
And
think
also, shout out to the freaking costume design in this movie. Holy crap!
yeah, it
Everybody
is
looked
solid.
awesome.
It is
Everybody
solid.
looks so freaking cool.
I do want to. I
Mm,
feel like things worked out the way they were supposed to because I really liked Shang-Chi's sister in her movie. I love that they went with a very traditional Chinese actress, a new person because we've seen I can't remember her actual name, but
Jessica
Bugs.
Henwick.
We've seen her in Game of Thrones and some other things, and she's great. But I love
Oh,
that they
that's
had a
right.
new guy in a new actress in.
She's also the girl in Iron Fist. I completely did not see that.
Yes, she is. Yeah,
Holy crap!
yeah.
Whoa.
But she was good.
Okay.
Dude, also shout out. It has to be like Shepard. I know he's a small character, but he has to be a callback to Mass Effect. Like it just has to be, right? Like he kind of looks like the Shepard in the games. They literally just call him Shepard the entire time. And he's also a badass. I'm almost 100% sure that's just like a little sprinkle that Lana Wachowski just did as a nod to those games because a lot of what she's doing in this with the bad robots and the good robots, it happens in the Mass Effect games. This is just way more in depth.
hmm.
Is that the dude that when he went into the Matrix, he had the like blue glasses and the blonde, super spiky
Yeah,
hair?
but he doesn't have blonde. He's the guy that brings him to the prison cell.
The
Yeah.
one who's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he
Like-
looked freaking awesome. I was like,
Yeah, dude.
dang.
Some of them was like, you look better in real life than in the Matrix, but he like, dang, bro, you pull that off in the Matrix,
Yeah.
man.
There's one dude, I can't remember who he was. He was one of them that went back into the Matrix, and when they when all the
Swarm.
vampires and the everyone the
vampires?
werewolves, the vampires and the werewolves were there again.
What are you
The
talking
French
about?
dude was back.
Oh.
The French dude was there.
There's no vampires on werewolves. What are you talking about?
Are you serious, Nate?
Did I miss a part of
They're
this
not-
movie?
No. So
That's-
in the third movie,
Oh, the
French
third
guy,
movie. Oh, okay.
the
I thought you were
third
talking
movie-
about this movie. You're good.
No,
Go ahead.
they are in this movie, bro.
Yes.
In the third movie,
Mhm.
there's the French dude.
Yeah.
He's in charge of their
I
programs
remember.
that went viral.
I
And
remember.
they're vampires and werewolves. He's in this movie, and their
Yeah.
vampires and werewolves are back.
Huh, I just thought they were crazy.
So
people.
really quick for the audience out there, that's actually the second Matrix because when he confuses the third and second all the damn
Sorry,
time, I don't
yes,
know how.
yeah, I've seen the first one recently. I have
Yeah,
not seen
you're
the second or
talking
third
about
recently.
the Merovingian.
Yes,
And honestly, I
Yes.
kind of didn't like where they went with
Yeah.
him. Just a small
Yeah.
nitpick. Some of
Yeah.
his lines were interesting, but a lot of them were just dumb.
honestly, I didn't. I was kind of not listening to him sometimes.
It's hard because he purposefully just says babble because he's gone
Yeah.
mad. But
Yeah.
still.
But anyways, it was one of the dudes that was there with them. So it was
Yeah.
like the girl with like the interesting hair thing,
Mhm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
he was behind her. I was like, man, I would cosplay as him. He looks so freaking cool.
Nice.
Like awesome, so cool. Anyways, that was a big sidetrack to talk about one character. My bad.
No, dude, we're talking about stuff we like, and I loved the recasting and changes to Agent Smith. I personally,
Really?
it just hits me specifically because I love that actor, Jonathan Groff. I'm pretty sure that's his name. You know, I love him in Mindhunter. He's amazing in Mindhunter. You know, and he also does some other stuff. He's in Hamilton. I think he plays the king in Hamilton.
Yeah,
He's great in that. So anytime he gets work, I'm like hype 3000. And I love it, dude. I think he overacts a little bit sometimes, but I think it's fine because Agent Smith is kind of a psychopath. So I'm fine with it. And I just love what they did with his character, where he's just this wild card. He's just this chaos. He just causes chaos. So, but he was great. I loved his I loved him. It was great.
See, for me, I did really like the character, but it never really felt like Smith to me.
Mm.
So I'm like, oh, this villain is super cool, but it never really felt like
Yeah.
Smith. So that's my critique with it. But honestly, like if they double down and they don't bring the actor that played the original Agent Smith back, I wouldn't be too mad about it because it seems like he's taking the character in an interesting direction.
It was great. Other things that I liked. I mean, like I said, I just liked generally everything. You know, there's a couple of things that I didn't like that I'll go into a little bit more detail in a second. But yeah, dude, it was just a fun time movie. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I hope that they touch in the next movie is if some of those machines rebelled against the Matrix, and that's why they were helping the humans, or if like the war of machine versus machine is still going on, or what's
Mm,
going on with that. Because there is a little segment when they first escape jail that they go and hide in one of the spots to talk to Trinity. That's when the Frenchman and the vampire and werewolf show up, and after that little sequence, they go back in there and they say like the squids are coming, but you can tell like this is like a dead section where the machine city used to be.
interesting.
So I really want them to go back and talk about that and like make that a bigger point because they basically just like glanced over it. They're like, "Oh yeah, the machines were at war with the machines after you
Yeah.
left," and
Yep.
then like they just skipped it. Like, okay, hold on, like you just skipped an
Yeah.
important part of history here.
Yeah.
You made it seem like it was candy.
I
Yeah.
had
I
honestly,
agree.
I would have loved to have seen it, but I love that they didn't go too deep into it because it it would have been cool, but it also leaves us wanting more, and I think that
Yeah.
that's a good
True.
thing.
Yep. What did you guys think about them not needing to use the phone booths anymore?
I was fine with that. It's all
That
the
was a
Okay.
mirrors.
Yeah. I think since they made it very clear that this isn't the old Matrix,
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of opens more possibilities that they
Hmm.
can do more as well because it's a newer Matrix, so they haven't like patched it or anything like that yet, or not as
Yeah, it's
much
just
as the original
it's just
Matrix. So
different. You know, it's just
yeah,
different in general. Like, oh, they're swarms now, but we can also go through the mirrors. You know, it's just a
yeah,
different system. It's just like
yeah,
in one game, there's some hacks and exploits that you can do, and then in the next game, the sequel to that game, completely different set of hacks and exploits. You know.
yep, exactly. Yeah. Um. All right, let's get into some criticisms.
I've talked
Uh.
about a lot of them. I think one of the only ones that I'm really missing that I don't like is the really just jovial, casual ending where, you know, they come and they may make fun of the analyst and then they fly away. I feel like that really took away seriousness and gravity from the situation. And I feel like they maybe could have done that scene just differently, but it kind of lowered the stakes for me when they did that. And I just didn't like it at all. I would have been fine if it wasn't there or if they just changed it.
I agree with you.
Mhm.
I think that Neo has always been somebody that even if he doesn't really know what he's doing, he always like, doubles down on his decision. And I feel like that scene kind of went in like the different direction where he's not kind of doubling down. He's just like, things will be where they'll be, you know?
Mhm.
And I can kind of see why he would do that because he doesn't want to start a war again. And he doesn't feel like he needs to necessarily be the savior right now. But I don't know. It was kind of unsatisfying. Also, speaking of Neo, for me, one of my criticisms is most of the um, really cool things that Neo's supposed to be doing is this
Yeah, that is kind of boring. He just does it over and
all the
over
time.
again, especially at the end.
Yeah, and I'm just like, all right, fine, but like maybe do it once or twice and then show us something different,
Yeah.
you know?
I do
Because
feel
the way,
like
And
the action designer and choreographer, I don't know if they just weren't able to get somebody very inspired, but like I said earlier, the action is pretty bland. I don't think it's bad, but there never really is like, whoa, that's freaking awesome. Like not a
yeah,
single. And that was
and
a little disappointing.
it's weird to me. Even like I feel like the best fight scene was between Smith and Neo. You know, when they're in the basement again or whatever it is.
Mm.
I think that was probably the best fighting scene. But even like the points where, like the original Matrix, the reason why some of the action scenes were so cool is because you're like, whoa, that can happen in the Matrix. That's amazing. and like they used a lot of the old moves, which sure is nostalgia, but it doesn't give us that thing of, oh, this is new, this is fresh. you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm. And one of the really, like one of the really important things that Neo says, like as soon as he leaves the Matrix, is that he's done fighting. And you kind of see that throughout the movie that he's really not fighting at this point. He's just like blocking everything. So I really hope like they get that off in the
Yeah,
second
he
movie.
gets his
That's like, you know
fire
what?
back.
It's like you
Mhm.
know what? Like you have Trinity back. You have a reason to actually like want to join in the cause of taking Earth back from the machines. And maybe you will actually start fighting like you used to, and you know what? Give us something new too. But at the same time, I do know like what they mean by like you know what? Like I'm done like fighting about this, but you know what? I'll make sure that you guys are safe. So let me just do what I can, but I don't want to get involved in this because he already did like his big piece of it. Of he he stopped the war between humans and machines. He like that was his biggest goal, and he already accomplished it. There's nothing else that he really needs.
And I'm glad that when they talked about that, that they were like, Neo was like, nothing's changed,
Hmm.
when he first came back and everything. And they're like, no, it has.
A little bit.
And he's like, it doesn't seem like it has. And that's exactly what I was thinking too. If we're back in the Matrix and we're doing all this stuff, nothing's really changed. But, then they give you points to be like, okay, no, there was a
Yeah.
benefit to him doing that.
Like the battle was won, but the war is not over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I did like that aspect.
Cool. Is there any other negatives that you guys really, really want to point out?
There's I think like the only other negatives that I have in this are just how the bots acted in the Matrix. Like they were a little more threatening in the old films than they are right now. Like right now it seems like just like one punch can take them out. And back then it was like you need like a whole ton of fire just to take something
Yeah.
out. Even if they are just humans that they can take over, it's still kind of like, you know what, like they seem really, really, really dull right now. And it's maybe adding on to the fact that this newer version of the Matrix is, it's a little weaker than how the original is. But I don't know. That's like the only other thing that's like I don't really know if I like it or not.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I think that does, the fact that, it's basically just a horde, it does take away from how good the action could have been.
Mhm. But then again, on that side of it, I look at it from a gaming standpoint, and I'm like, man, this would be so cool
Oh,
as a game.
really? Oh, dude, that looks annoying.
Imagine Matrix zombies, and you get to dodge and freaking like do all these acrobatics and do bullet time and all this stuff. Like that'd be dope. I'm so down.
Someone can make a cheat code where you can just fly over them.
Oh
I
yeah,
can
for sure.
guarantee you.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like how you
Um,
can't get me.
cool. Are you guys ready to guess that Rotten Tomato score?
Ooh, 71.
71 from Nate. Danny, what do you think?
I'm gonna give this a 65.
We both, I think, heard that reviewers don't like it.
You are so close, Danny. 66.
Oof, we're both pretty
66.
close. He's off by
Why am I
1.
always
I
like
was off
so
by
close?
5. We're pretty good at this,
Honestly,
dude.
honestly, I don't get it, man.
It's
Maybe
not
it's just
that
because
bad.
I really like The Matrix,
Mhm.
but I don't think this deserves that score.
No, it is.
It
I don't
on-
know, because it all depends on scales. Because like, if it's a real like 1 through 10, 5 is average. Like a 6 is still above average. Like, okay, I'm fine with that. But usually, it's like anything below 7 is like you shouldn't play it. Usually, and I think that's what Rotten Tomatoes is more like. So it doesn't deserve it.
Yeah,
It's on
because dude, like right now they have this right under The Matrix 2.
Yeah.
Matrix 3 was like, I really don't think that's it got a 35 on Rotten
Oof.
Tomatoes. Like, no, that's not that bad of a movie.
It's pretty bad.
It's honestly not that bad. For somebody who never watched The Matrix until he was 21 years old, watching all those movies in sequence with each other, The Matrix 3 is not the greatest, but it's
No, yeah,
not bad at all. It's
yeah,
not bad. Like it still keeps you on your toes of like, you know what, like I want to know like what's gonna happen? How does this happen? Because one of the most like intriguing parts of the third movie is how Agent Smith was way too powerful for the
Mm,
Matrix to control that he took over the Matrix.
mm.
And he was like, you know what, like I'm not gonna involve myself in this fight. I'm just gonna be one on one with you. Like the original is gonna fight with Neo, and like you can see like the vulnerable side of the Matrix, and that actually like adds on to like how good that third movie was. It wasn't
yeah.
the greatest, but it wasn't bad.
I don't think the execution is there, but the concept is there.
Yeah,
And that says a whole bunch about the movie. Anyways, that's off topic. What
wrong
would you,
Matrix.
what would you guys rate The Matrix Resurrections 1 out of 10?
Who's going first?
Nate.
I think it is a really strong 7 out of 10. It is really enjoyable. It's really fun. If they just done like one or two more things just a little cooler, the action was a little cooler, Morpheus's character was a little less dumb, or just the fact that he's called Morpheus.
Yeah.
I think this could have easily been an 8. But it's right there where it's like, this is a fun time. If you like The Matrix, watch it. I think it's better than 2 and 3. So like and then if you just like sci-fi, like this kind of sci-fi, the artificial reality, I think that's the word for it. Like this is it's very, very thought-provoking in the beginning. So go for it. It's great.
Yeah. Danny, what do you rate The Matrix Resurrections?
I was kind of leaning towards like a 6.5, but honestly, it does deserve a 7. It deserves a
Wow.
7.
Okay.
Like it's not the greatest movie. It's not bad by any means. There's just like a few dumb things here and there, but at the end of it, it's still a really good movie and it's still a really fantastic concept.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
I have to disagree, and I have to put it at an 8.0.
Oh, Wynnston's doing the review for this one.
Again, I don't know if it's just because I really like the Matrix concept ever since I watched the original, but yeah, there's something about this that kind of just like hits home that I'm like, I'm glad the Matrix is
Yeah,
back.
like
I'm super happy
they
with
didn't
it.
miss, man, and that is
Yeah,
great.
no, yeah, and honestly, like for them to rate it, the second worst Matrix movie, I don't think that's the case. I think they really thought about most of the things in this, and they probably thought about on all of it, honestly, and they just made some of the wrong decisions, specifically with Morpheus and some of the other decisions. But honestly, I would I really, really hope there's a sequel to this because um sorry. Because yeah, there's so much potential to the Matrix, and yeah, I would have to recommend this to anyone who likes the original Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, they left so much like untapped potential in
Mm.
this first movie, just in like not enough that you're like, man, I wish it would have gone so much more deeper into this, but enough that's like, you know what? You have so much wiggle room to play with the second movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And it gets you intrigued, and this movie is more for people who are ready to watch The Matrix, but it's
Oh yeah,
also like a little bit of an introduction into The Matrix.
yeah, yeah. I think this movie is by like way better if you've seen the original, but I wouldn't say it's
Mhm.
you know
Unwatchable.
necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unwatchable if you haven't seen the first one because they show you a lot of scenes for context and stuff. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyways, that has been our review for The Matrix Resurrections. As we said, stay tuned for that shorter review that will be featuring your lovely host. But also, thanks for watching this. Like, subscribe, and until next time, we'll see you in the rabbit hole.
Take it easy, guys.
Pieces.
That was exactly 1 hour, guys.
Heck yeah. Perfect.
I was looking like at the end, at like the last 5 minutes. We're still streaming, but the recording's over. you can like just see me looking at the clock like every like 30 seconds because I'm like, I think we're gonna end it at exactly 1 hour, and then like it was perfect, dude. It was perfect.
Perfect.
All right, well, that is all. If you watch the whole stream, thank you so much. We have 3